As Israel says it's readying its forces, no matter the source of the threat.
We are also preparing for scenarios of challenges from other arenas. We have established a simple principle. Whoever hurts us, we hurt them. We are preparing to meet the security needs of the State of Israel, both in defense and in attack.
And joining me on set is our international affairs editor, Kethevane Gorjestani. Kethevane, the dreaded regional spillover may finally be happening. We've been talking about this for months.
Yes, and that's at least true in words, because you're really seeing an escalation in rhetoric, at least. You have the Iranians who are saying that Israel will be punished, even though they're not giving really any details. Also threatening concretely Israeli embassies around the world, saying that no embassy is safe. The Israelis themselves also raising that rhetoric, saying that a direct attack by Iran will require an appropriate response against Iran. That was the defense minister. And they're not the only ones taking this seriously. The world is taking this seriously. And the diplomatic phone lines have been going off for the past couple of days. You have the Germans and the Russians calling the Iranians, warning and urging for restraint. The UK concerned about a possible miscalculation amid all this rhetoric. Tony Blinken, the Secretary of State of the United States, also on the phones with the Turks, the Chinese, the Saudis, trying to get them to use whatever influence they have to try to tone down this escalation, because that's really a symbol of how serious this is. Everybody understands that Iran might have to retaliate, but what they're trying to do is to make that retaliation the lowest possible, so that it doesn't end up an escalation, that it doesn't trigger yet another reaction from the Israelis, and that back and forth could go on for a while. So they're really trying to get this under wraps as much as they can, knowing that there's likely going to be a reaction from the Iranians.
Do we have any indication of what that retaliation might look like?
Well, some U.S. officials are saying basically Iran will respond in a big way, but not big enough to draw the United States into the war. So there are several options, and there are two main questions: is who is going to do the retaliation, and where are they going to do that retaliation? Who? It could be any of Iran's proxies, that so-called axis of resistance. There are those militias that are aligned with Iran in Iraq, in Syria, in Yemen. But of course, there is Hezbollah, the strongest of all these proxies in Lebanon. But it could also escalate all the way to Iran itself deciding to do the retaliation. And then there's the where. I mentioned the Israeli embassies around the world, but it could be also a strike on Israeli interests elsewhere, or even to the highest level, i.e., a strike in Israel itself. Now, most experts say that the likelihood of Iran actually striking directly Israel is pretty low, but you could see a flare-up on the Israel-Lebanon border with Hezbollah, for example, or targeted strikes on Israeli interests around the world. What you're seeing there is Iran trying to do a balancing act. They have to retaliate because they're under pressure to give a response to what happened in Syria, but they also don't want possibly to escalate, don't want to see another response by the Israelis. So they're really trying to figure out this balancing act in their retaliation.
All right, thank you so much. Another question, of course, being when we can expect that kind of attack to happen. Thank you so much. Kethevane Gorjestani there with that analysis.